But first, Liberal leader Susan Lee is under mounting pressure to drop the net zero policy negotiated by Scott Morrison with the Nationals in 2021 as the party seeks to forge a new path forward. The Australian newspaper revealing today that both the Liberal and National Party rooms are divided over their commitments to net zero and energy policies. Joining me now for more on this is Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Public Affairs, Dan Wild. Dan, the coalition adopted net zero in 2021 and since then they've suffered two devastating election losses. Do you see a link between those two events?
Yeah, net zero is a vote loser. Time to try something different. You and I have discussed the many and varied economic and social consequences of net zero to Australia. Talking about the Liberal Party, though, obviously net zero is inconsistent with Liberal values. It enables a massive expansion to government bureaucracy to interfere in almost every single aspect of our lives, whether it's the food we can eat, the cars we can drive, the houses we can live in, the kind of industries that we can have in our economy. So it's inconsistent with any ethos of smaller government. It's also a threat to our national sovereignty because it requires us to import foreign technology, including from China, into Australia. And it's also a massive tax on working Australians when you look at how energy bills are going up and the cost of living is going up, which is primarily driven by energy costs. So on any count, of course, the Liberal Party should be dumping net zero.
You were a candidate at the recent election in a safe Labor seat. Did you, as a Liberal candidate, have any input into energy policy, into the net zero position?
Not at a central level, Rita. I advocated the cause on the ground, but one thing I can tell you, particularly in outer suburban electorates such as the one I stood for, is that not one single person came up to me and asked me, how is Australia going in meeting our nationally determined contribution to cut our emissions to net zero by 2050 under the Paris Climate Agreement? Funnily enough, that wasn't raised even once, Rita. It might be hard to believe, but Australians are just over the climate fanaticism and want a government which is focused on the bottom line, not on bureaucrats in Brussels.
I just can't understand the coalition sticking with this policy. I said it all throughout this year during the election campaign. The last time they fought an election on this issue, they won the unwinnable election back in 2019. Then they signed up to net zero, devastating loss again. And you can't fight about issues like cost of living when you signed up to this madness, because it impacts every facet of life, from businesses to households to large-scale manufacturing sector. It is absolutely crippling for us. But let's move on to the Albanese government's tax on unrealised gains on superannuation funds in excess of $3 million. It'll come into effect July 1. It's expected to pass both the lower house and the Senate with ease, given the Greens have the balance of power in the upper house. Dan, the Liberals really failed to explain why this tax is so unfair, so grossly unfair. And it doesn't just impact the rich, it also has a massive impact on investment, a negative impact on the investment.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a couple of things. As with any kind of new tax, it's actually often the rich that can avoid it the best because they have the resources to alter their investment portfolios to minimise the impact of tax. It's actually those in the middle that tend to cop it. The other point is this will damage self-run super funds, and it will channel more money into industry super funds, and which is obviously a benefit to Labor and the unions, given that those super funds are run by unions. I think the other point, Rita, is this tax is incredibly opaque. It's not really clear how it will be administered. And one of the fundamental principles of taxation is you need to actually know how much tax you're liable for. So, you earn an income, you've got to pay income tax. You buy something from the shops, you pay GST. You own a business, you pay payroll tax. Now, we can debate the size and the magnitude of those taxes, but at least they're obvious in terms of how much you have to pay. But this tax is very opaque. So I don't even know if the Treasurer himself can explain how this is going to be enforced or how much tax the typical investor is actually going to pay.